make an early application. So that's for Oxbridge or for medicine. In terms of things that you need to know, there are key dates within your application process. The 15th of October is the closest one, and that's the first and final deadline for Oxbridge and medicine applications. The next date then is the 5th of August in 2021, and that's where clearing opens. So clearing will have some places at universities for those people who didn't necessarily gain any offers from different places. The last one then is your results day. That's the 19th of August, and that's when your UCAS will firm up where you will be going to university next year. So I'll start with some Oxbridge applicant advice, and then I'll go on to medicine afterwards. In terms of your personal statement, as we've talked about, it's a little bit different to a normal personal statement. And the key things you want to be thinking about is your academic success and your academic interests. Now, the important thing is, if you're adding in things that you've read or things that you've watched, you need to know it inside out. If you get taken to interview, they will most likely question you on things that you've put within your personal statement. You want to concentrate on supercurricular rather than extracurricular, so things that would support you in terms of the subject that you want to study, rather than saying, I played football at the weekend. The next thing then is choosing the correct college. Unless you have a specific preference, and that could be, I want to go to this college because it's an all-girls college, or I want to go to this college because it's closest to the centre of town and I need to get home quickly, you may as well make an open application, because that gives your application to the entire university, and any college that has kind of space for people to interview will kind of grab that and they'll interview you. It's going to give you kind of a bit of a better option or a better chance as more colleges are able to see your application. The next thing then is a lot of courses at Oxbridge will require you to take a test. Now that will be done in school and will be booked and sat in the exam hall. In terms of the different tests, you've got them all there. Some of them are more kind of college-based, so there's a couple where you won't have to take the test if you go to a certain college, but in general, they're all kind of there for different subjects. So you've got kind of the test that needs to be taken and the subject in which you'd need to take it for. In terms of that, there'll be some preparation in school depending on which test you are, with teachers who are kind of subject specialists. Next thing then is if you get an interview. So at Oxbridge interviews, they're kind of testing that you're able to think, and they're testing that you're able to work with them. The tutors will be kind of trying to work out if they like the way you think, and so therefore you need to be able to show the way that you think to them. You will get some interview practice from teachers and also from some external people. What you're kind of trying to portray is that you are really intellectual and you're actually looking to study something you're really, really interested in. So you have to have this genuine passion and interest for the subject that you are doing. Next thing then, let's look at medicine. So personal statements, again, for medicine are slightly different, and generally you have to kind of show these three things. So you have to have motivation to study medicine, exploration to show that you've done something about it, so you've done some extra stuff to learn about what medicine is, and then how suitable you are for the job. So there is kind of no real structure to the statement. However, kind of the way that I would set it out, and a sensible kind of structure, is this structure here. I've written in brackets kind of which part you would be showing in each paragraph. So if you think about the first one, why I want to be a doctor, explain some experience you've had, and that's showing your motivation. The next one is kind of thinking about your work experience of volunteering, and you want to be really reflective in that work experience. So say kind of what you did and then what you kind of deduced from that. Wider reading and supercurricular shows that you're exploring it. Extracurricular is going to be your suitability, so kind of teamwork, etc. And conclusion is your motivation again. So that's kind of a decent structure for it. In terms of interviews then, different universities use different interviews. So there's two types of interview. You've got panel and you've got LMI. A Panel interview is kind of where you're interviewed by 3 people generally, and so you tend to have a doctor in there who will question you. A medical student tends to be kind of 4th or 5th year medical students, and then someone else, that can be a teacher or it can be another doctor. MMI is slightly different and they're more popular. You get a series of different kind of stations, and there will be people at those stations. What they'll be doing is seeing your interaction with patients, and also looking at how you would deal with ethical scenarios and how you can solve problems. So my main advice would be looking at medical ethics. So in preparation for interviews, you want to think about medical ethics, and there's kind of 4 pillars of medical ethics. You need to show that when you're answering these questions, you are able to relate it back to these 4 things. What you need to do as well is weigh both sides of an ethical, you need to make a balanced argument, and you need to think about the ethical side for each side of a scenario.